guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a video that I have dedicated the last week and a half of my reading to, and that is, should you read these new releases? So I have 7 new releases. I think only one has not actually come out yet on the day that I'm filming this. So this video is going to go up Friday, and I believe the other one that's not out yet is coming out Thursday. So only one's not out yet, but it does come out next week. So these are 7 books that are books that have come out recently that I'm going to chat about whether you should pick them up or not, what my consensus is. And it's been a wild ride. So some of these are by like absolute favorite authors of mine. Some I thought I wouldn't love, some I thought I would love, and we will see what I thought about them. So the first one actually is the one that comes out next week. It is Tempting the Player by Rebecca Genshak. And if you like the movie The First Daughter, it doesn't have to do with royalty, but she is a like childhood pop star. She was on like a television show when she was younger, and she's a famous singer, and she hasn't really been doing a lot like in the celebrity world, and she decided to go to college, and it came out. This is I think book 4 or 5 in the series. It's the only one I read. I picked it up as a complete standalone. I was fine. But sometime it like came out that who she is. So like people at the college know who she is. She's been getting these like threats and these like this stalker. She had a problem before with someone. So there's a little bit of a suspense element, which I actually really enjoyed. You guys know me, I love suspense. And so she thinks she's fine though. So she keeps on seeing this guy around, and she wants to talk to him, and he jogs by her house every day. She sees him at the restaurant she's on a date at. She sees him when she's walking around campus, and she decides to talk to him and really starts liking him. And it turns out he's her bodyguard. And it happens pretty early on that she figures this out, and so it's not like looming and you're as the reader like waiting and waiting for the conflict to drop. And so he was hired by her parents. He is actually in his like mid-20s, and he was a professional football player until he got hurt, and now he's like recovering and wanting to go back into football, but he is working in like private security. So he is living with his family though. Something happened to his parents. I don't remember if they passed away. They're not around. So I really liked his family aspect. I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. I thought it was really great. I do think they got together a little bit too early, so I wasn't like the biggest fan of that aspect of the story, but the suspense like came in later, and I did enjoy that. But I loved the bodyguard aspect, and then obviously he's gonna like keep on being her bodyguard for a little bit, so he's always around, and she knows he's a little bit older and she shouldn't be falling for her bodyguard. But if you want a really cute bodyguard romance that is a college romance, read this one. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so the next one is Shattered Truce by Helena Hunting, and this one is my least favorite in the series. I thought it would be like without a doubt 5 stars. It ended up being a 4-star read for me. In this one, she's a hockey player, he's a figure skater, and he literally like almost runs her over on her bike on his way to somewhere, I don't even remember, but he sees that she has some ice skates in her bag, which are hockey skates, and he keeps them so that she has to see him again, and she wants nothing to do with him. She is not from a really good household, and they live in poverty, so she can't afford a lot, and when she does work, it all goes to her parents and her house and like her dad's cigarettes, and like just she is not living a great life. But she loves hockey, and so he invites her to skate at this like open skate night, and his dad's actually like a hockey legend. Dad sees her skate, and he's like, you need to be on my team that I have, and she's like, I can't afford it and I have to work. And the hero is literally obsessed with her. Like from the moment he sees her, he's obsessed with her. So that's really like not a lot of angst in here compared to the first 2 books, which is what I was expecting in this one. But I really loved how the hero was so obsessed with her. The audio was great. They have to figure out how to make it work, and she is still like living in a not great situation. So a lot of things are happening with her parents, and then something happens with the hero where she has to be there for him, and that was really like the second half of the conflict. So it was good. I really did enjoy it. I just want a little more angst, but if you like this series, I would definitely pick this one up. Then I read the only historical on this list, which is an Earl to Remember, and I love this. Like, I know so many people don't love this one. It's an overboard retelling though. I listened to the audiobook in literally 24 hours. I started it one day and then I finished it the next day, so like technically it ended up being around 24 hours that I was reading it. It was so good. She wants to be a chef. She is the only one taking care of her siblings. Her parents passed away, and so she works as a chef, and she gets hired on this yacht and or like this boat, whatever, during that time period, and she was working during this like scandalous party, and she is accidentally taken to the hero, who is waiting for his mistress to bring back people to join them. And so he thinks that she's there to join him and his mistress, and she's like, what is happening? They kiss, and then he realizes what happens, and then his mistress is upset, so he fires her. And she is so angry, and then his mistress ends up tossing him overboard, and he washes up on shore in her town with no memory, except for that he knows her physically. Like, he's like, I know we've been together. And she's like horrified because she has a reputation to uphold. So she's like, well, we're married. So in order to save her reputation, she says they're married to the people in town who are there. And he has amnesia though of everything else, and they end up pretending to be married. Well, she does. He thinks they are, but he's like, I know this isn't my life. He's like, I don't work like this, but he starts to really like her sisters and really like her. And I had so much fun reading this. I love Overboard. This was just like everything I wanted in a historical at the time. Put me in a really historical mood. I gave it 5 stars. The audio was great. I just like couldn't put it down, and I didn't feel like there were any slow parts. I really loved the hero and his obsession with the heroine once he like started to fall in love with her. And then of course there's like the class difference aspect because he realizes he's an Earl. She's not of high class at all and has her family to take care of and her own dreams of being a chef. I loved his family at the end too and like what happened with her, and it was really good. Then I read Here With Me by Brooke Montgomery. This one took me a while to get into, but this one is an age gap ex's dad romance, and this one actually had a lot more depth than I realized. So this heavily deals with the death of a child. So the hero lost his daughter quite early on. So the prologue is him wanting to die. So no, the prologue is very, very heavy when you start, and he pretty much is not around whatsoever. He ends up going to an institution for 2 years because he needs help, and he doesn't tell his son. So his son resents him, and so he is now back in this town, which is a small town, and he's a farrier. I always say that wrong. He's the one who like reshoes horses. Okay, have you ever seen those videos pop up on your TikTok or your Facebook? I do. So he does that, and he's being hired on this ranch, and so he is at this kind of like rodeo thing. He used to be a professional bull rider, which is another reason why he was never around his family either. And he sees the heroine, and she's very forward. They got hot and heavy, had a one-night stand, and then she realizes in the morning who he was, and she freaks out. And then it turns out that he's working on her parents' ranch where she works. She's a trainer there, and they can't stay away from each other, but then he's trying to deal with his son and their relationship. So I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. Like, the more I thought about it, initially it was a 4-star, but then I was like, no, I really ended up liking their romance and their relationship and how realistic it was why they couldn't be together because of the son, because typically it's like the son's a horrible person, and he did do not so great stuff, but there was so much depth to his character because of what his dad did to him, and the hero like genuinely wanted to work on his relationship with his son, and that's why he didn't want to be with the heroine. So that made so much sense in the plot, and I love the horses in here. There's a little bit of suspense too, which I love. So if you like small town, age gap forbidden with some suspense, like obviously pick this up. I sound like a broken record, but I really loved these books that I read. Then another one that was such a surprise, I did not think I would like this, is The Love Plot by Samantha Young. I love Samantha Young. I love her romances. I loved her last romance, but this one is marketed as a rom-com, and I don't love rom-coms, but the audio came in. I was like, let me give it a shot. I had a friend who read it and really enjoyed it. It's fake dating. The heroine is someone who grew up with very unconventional parents. She calls them by their first names. They're like very free-spirited, like they don't want to be tied down by anything, and so she doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life. She is a professional like party actor, so she'll dress up for parties and stuff, and she's a professional line sitter, so she's hired by people to sit in line for things. And she meets the hero at a party, and he is a very grumpy veterinarian because his family is constantly trying to set him up with women, like to the point where he gets like 10 phone calls a day from random women that his parents are like, or more specifically his mom is like, my son's single, go date him. So he meets her, and he's instantly like judges her, but then he's like, I want to hire you to be my girlfriend, and she agrees, and they start falling for each other, and the hero was just so grumpy but falls so hard for her, and I loved that. But then they definitely have to deal with stuff with his family because they're very wealthy, and they don't totally see her fitting into their life and want her to be more serious. They like act like they really like her, but then they're like, but aren't you gonna get like a real job and be successful? And then she's also dealing with a lot with her family because that drama comes up as well, how they're never there, and then they rely on her for a lot of things, and they've really messed up with her ability to like let people in, and I loved it. The audio was so good, and I gave it 4.5 stars. I was so shocked how much I love this, and I was just really obsessed with the hero and how much he loved her. It's not a rom-com. Like, I don't think there's any points in this where I was like laughing out loud. It's very serious with the hero and his family and his conflict with his brother, and also like her and her family, so, but like not too serious, but like it deals with like real life problems, which I really liked. So Really love this one. Then we're at the one I didn't love. And I'm so sad about it, but that is The Summer I Saved You by Elizabeth O'Rourke. I read The Summer We Fell. I loved it. I was so into the angst, so obsessed with it, and I was like, great, another angsty one, this is gonna be amazing. I feel like the next book's going to be very angsty based on the premise, but this one, the heroine grew up because her dad was like this big corporate guy who never acknowledged she existed, and her mom was very flighty. So she spent a lot of time at this lake house that I think it was her aunt or grandmother, I don't remember. Someone in the family had it and she lived with her, and so she would always see the boys of the lake and the like surrounding lake houses like playing, and she was obsessed with one, which is our hero. So it's like, I think someone said they thought it was Second Chance. It's not. She was like 4 years younger than him, so when you're like 14 and 18, like no, like that was too big of an age gap for when they were kids, so they never ended up being like anything. And now she is a single mom of twins to a horrible husband, and she is living in the lake house, and the hero is back in his parents' lake house wanting to fix it up, and he is a workaholic. He owns his own business, and she gets a job working for him and doesn't know it. And so he sees her and he's like, absolutely not. And she's like, well, I was hired, so I'm working here. And he doesn't want her position anyway because it's about like company morale and like keeping people around and working and like kind of like human resources kind of thing. So she's determined to do well, but it's hard juggling her twins and her ex that she's trying to divorce and falling in love with him, and he's got some trauma of his own with his relationships, which I don't want to spoil that, but this was kind of slow and not a lot of angst, and I was just like reading along. At first I was like, maybe it's 4 stars, but I was like, to be honest with myself, as much as I love Elizabeth O'Rourke and her books, this doesn't stand up to ones that I've read by her. Like, some of my all-time favorites are so angsty and so good, and this one was more boring, and the hero definitely messes up a lot and does not grovel enough, and the only people really keeping them apart were their exes, and I don't love ex drama, and her ex was like always causing drama, and then his ex pops up to cause drama, and I was just like, I don't really love it. So do not go into this expecting another The Summer We Fell. I feel like it just wasn't angsty, and I just was missing things. So 3 stars. Pick it up if you want to. And the last one I read, I hate to end this on a low note, but I was really excited. So I read With Love from a Cold World. I just really love the cover, and I had the audio, so I was like, why not? I was honestly gonna DNF it because I knew it was a 3-star read. About like 60% in, I was like, I'm not loving this. It's not gonna be more than a 3, like, but I wanted to finish it anyways because I like to finish things and I hate DNFing. So I finished it. This one, they are co-workers, and he is just like someone who works, and it's at this place that's like a winter wonderland in Florida. So they're known for the winter. They have like fake snow, stuff like that. She works in the accounting department, and he is just one of the regular employees there. And so there was a lot that this book tried to do because she was taken away from her mom who couldn't take care of her. So then she was put into foster care. And so she is now someone who is an advocate for foster care children, and she got her first placement. And then the hero, he is bisexual and his family cut him off, so he's dealing with that drama. And I feel like the plots just kind of felt disjointed and didn't really like weave together well because they were falling in love, but she's very uptight and he's not, and she just doesn't like how he is. They are like, they think they hate each other, so they hate each other kind of thing. While she's trying to deal with this kid that she's trying to advocate for, and he's trying to like deal with his sister who was inviting him to her baby shower where he knows his family's gonna be. And it was like, I was like, these don't really like, they feel like different plot points, and nothing is like really tied together well to me. And the romance was just fine, and it was a very long book. They had to compete against each other to figure out like how to make the business better. And she also was like kind of in love with the boss's son who worked there, and there wasn't really a reason for her to be in love with him other than like the idea of him. And I don't know, it was just fine. I gave it 3 stars. Nothing like super special, nothing bad, but it just could have been better. So I didn't love it. So I don't know if you should check this one out. Maybe it sounds good, check it out, but it was nothing special. Okay, so those are all the new romances that I've read lately. Let me know if you've read these and what your thoughts were on them, and if you would recommend them to people or what you're very excited to read. I would love to hear, and let me know if you enjoyed the style of video of me just chatting about new releases, since I do my videos where I talk about the new releases I'm excited for. I'm pretty sure all of these were on that video or from my August video, so yeah. Let me know your thoughts, but that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day.